Hello and welcome back to the Nash Metal production channel here at YouTube. Welcome to the much long-awaited follow-up to, of course, last year's, pretty much around this same time, 80s German Hard and Heavy Volume 1. So finally, we're at Volume 2. And definitely took quite a while. So just like with Volume 1, just 3 bands all racked up here. So again, 3 different albums, again from 3 different bands. So with that, without wasting any more time, let's get into the very first band here. So, first up, I think everybody is, at least right now, familiar with the band Mass. At least the one out of Boston, Massachusetts. Which, of course, I know that Scott Waters over at No Life Till Metal with his own record label, No Life Till Metal Records, is pretty much, reissuing the unreleased first album, Title Fighter, on his label. So, all good stuff. I've got the Take You Home EP and stuff. But this Mass is based out of Lappersdorf, Bavaria. That's, of course, right here. This would be their 5th studio album, titled Swiss Connection, released through Strand Records back in 1981. This, of course, is the 2010 SPV Steamhammer CD reissue, which, of course, housed in a slipcase. So let's actually show the actual original artwork and stuff. So this will be the actual artwork there, just slightly altered. The logo was definitely not the logo that was present on the original release. Would have been a much different label. This logo wouldn't come until the record after this one, titled Metal Fighter. So what's the difference between at least this Mass and the one out of Boston, besides the fact that this band is German? Well, these guys pretty much predate the one out of Boston. These guys definitely had it first. These guys, of course, dates back to the 1970s, being formed in 1970, but wouldn't release anything until like 1977. But this album, of course, being their 5th studio album, was released again back in 1981. Now, I don't know if I would compare Mass to the likes of either Accept. Maybe I might compare them to Scorpions, but not by that much. These guys definitely have more similarities to a lot of the new wave or British metal bands, especially being, Tigers of Bantang and Samson are the 2 that really come to mind, or occur maybe really early Def Leppard, like On to the Night, or the EP, or that kind of stuff. But the one band I also can compare them to isn't a new wave or British heavy metal band. That's actually the band I will probably really compare, especially this album, will be Riot. Especially since this was released around the same time as Fire Down Under. And I can also definitely draw some comparisons to the previous Riot album before Fire Down Under. That would have been Narita. Just all good stuff, very rock, and especially if you listen to tracks such as Time's Run Out, Don't Wait Too Long, Red Lights and Whiskey, Shootout, Metal Road, Dead End Rider, Backstreet Fighter, and of course Bad Deal. All great stuff. Of course, this album also has a tribute to Bon Scott titled Fade Out 1980. Great stuff. The other difference about this band is also the vocalist, though. No, he is definitely no Guy Speranza, but he definitely is very interesting. Of course, our vocalist would be Jackie Burnside, which would be this guy right there, which he is, of course, half German, half Afro-American. So yeah, the first German to actually have an afro. His voice is very similar to David Bowie, like if David Bowie had fronted a new wave of British heavy metal band. It's pretty interesting. So with all that, you get Mass. It's great stuff, though. There's nothing bad on here. Has a bonus track, which is titled Firebird, which is probably the earliest recording. And it's practically almost over 10 minutes long. Or a little over 9 minutes, actually. It's close to 10. Anyways, I'm not going to babble on too much. It's a good album. Very, very good sort of early, just real hard and heavy German stuff. So with that, I'm definitely going to lead off with a clip. It'll be the song. Hey baby, did you like second band here is again this time probably a one and done band, but it was formed by, of course, none other than Accept guitar player Herman Frank. Now, Herman Frank, of course, played on Balls to the Wall by Accept, and of course will then rejoin Accept when reforming in 2009-2010 with the singer Mark Tonillo. Pretty much what Accept's second singer that isn't Udo. And of course then playing on albums such as Blood of the Nations, Stalingrad, Brothers in Death, and of course Blind Rage. And after that would leave again and pretty much pursue both his solo career and focusing on the band. Then he ended up joining right after this band broke up. That of course was Victory. So which band I'm referring to? That'd be Hazard, with the only album in its self-titled was originally released through Mausoleum Records back in 1984. So what's the other dip? Now, along for the ride besides Herman Frank would be singer Malcolm McNulty, who of course at one point, of course is a British singer, not really German, even though the rest of the band is German. At one point had a stint in the band Weapon, which of course was the new wave of British heavy metal band, these days now known as Weapon UK, and I'm not going to go into the whole backstory of why they're known as Weapon UK now, but again, it's the same Weapon that put out that It's a Mad, Mad World 7-inch. So, musically, this album isn't any different from Accept. It's very much almost an Accept record. The only difference is British singer Malcolm McNulty doesn't sound like Udo. He really does have almost a slight sort of new wave or British heavy metal vocal style to him. But he isn't really anywhere, let's say, the most amazing sort of singer. But he doesn't have that kind of, let's say, grandiose kind of style as, let's say, as guys like either Lou Gramm from like Foreigner. Instead, he's a lot more smokier. Almost, well, pretty much like he did smoke quite a bit before recording, and might have also been drinking a bit of whiskey or vodka. So, and I ain't saying that he's drunk, it's just that if you've ever had sort of alcohol or whatever, or especially those really hard stuff, it kind of, it really gives a little bit tingle on the voice a bit. It definitely, especially feel it down the throat. So that and that's the whole, that whole vibe I get from the voice, and overall I think it kind of almost fits with the music, and it took me years to finally kind of really get behind such that, because musically it's definitely just, I would say it's pretty good solid German metal. Very much, again, very, very similar to Accept. Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if some of these riffs that Herman Frank came up were actually being worked with Wolf Hoffman for probably a possible follow-up to Balls to the Wall. And to be quite honest, this probably sounds more of an Accept record than Eat the Heat. I don't want to try and, I don't want to completely, beat down that dead horse. Anyways, again, 8 songs here. There is about at least some great sort of numbers, especially just good solid metal numbers here like Moonlight, Just a Dream, Satisfied, Tonight, and of course the very slow, slightly heavy number called Killer, which of course will then end up going into this sort of fast speed metal kind of track. Just great stuff all around. There is some melodic moments here, especially being Nothing at All, We Are the Band, and of course Come On. Now Come On for sure, while being a little, it's a tad over 6 minutes, definitely does have that sort of Accept feel anyways. The riff wise definitely sounds like something that would have easily been on like Balls to the Wall, or even maybe the follow-up album as well, maybe like Metal Heart. But overall, just it's a solid number. But with Malcolm McNulty, he definitely gives it a slight AOR feel to it, but not by that much. I would say maybe melodic metal, but still very good. I still like it. Songs like Nothing at All and We Are the Band, I think, sound more like Scorpions tunes. Especially stuff that would have easily been on like Love at First Sting. just good stuff all around. It's not completely amazing, not too, earth-shattering, but it's just at least solid enough, good German metal, and it definitely took me years to really warm up and really say some of these kind of words to actually open up my feel for the sound. It's good. This, of course, again, is the 1994, or kind of the 1994 Mausoleum Classics reissue. A lot of titles within that along with this series, and it's definitely one that is highly sought out by many people, especially when finding originals. Anyways, just good stuff. Probably the only one of the only really legit CD releases. Good stuff. Anyways, with that, I'm not going to say anything more other than I think these days Malcolm McNulty plays in Slade, which of course, is that band that did that real small tune called Come On and Feel the Noise. So with that, I'm about to lead off here and, well, drop in the sound clip, which will be for the song Just a Dream. While that's playing, I will be getting ready to bust out the third and last album for Volume 2. So with that, I'll be...
Look over there! See from afar! Could it be the sign I've waited for? A finger points, explain to me. Could it be a man of mystery? His cloak is flapping, he's riding hard. The ace of spades could be his playing card. He's getting nearer, it's plain to see. He said his ghost were riding straight at me. Oh no, I really can't believe that it's true. Oh no, could I be for people loving you? All along, it makes you turn into the point of a gun. On and on, well I survived you, so should I run? On and on.
Alright, third and last sound for this one, for Volume 2. So the third one, I picked something that was, again, pretty obscure. Last time it was a pretty obscure record that I picked, even though I had quite a bit of obscure ones for Volume 2. This one isn't completely far behind, but this one is very obscure. This album, I have never seen an original vinyl pressing of this one. Apparently this, according to the Metal Archives, was originally released on record back in '84. However, I just have never seen an actual copy. Who I'm referring to, well, if you've never heard of that obscure LP from that band Headstone, was it called Excalibur? Well, you may probably know who I'm talking about. Again, this is Headstone, like I just mentioned, best known for releasing the album Excalibur, which, when finding an original, well, good luck. And if you do, good luck trying to pay an arm and a leg for. This album wouldn't be any behind if you ever did find an original vinyl pressing. This, of course, was pretty much considered to be their very first album, recorded back in 1983. It's titled Burning Ambition, supposedly released back in 1984 on record, but I've never seen an actual pressing, so I don't know if an actual pressing even exists on record. This is the only one that I know of, because it was a CD release back in 2013 by Cathargo Records as a part of the still going Heavy Metal Classics series, which this would be number HMC002, so this would be the second release under there. So Headstone, German band, early. This will be the only album for singer Harry Liebhauser, who of course would then leave this band and go on and sing for another German band called Vito. So that, what do you expect from Headstone? If you've never checked out the album Excalibur, then you probably would get at least an idea. But if you haven't, this sound, I think that one is a little more refined and definitely does have a pretty cool sound for it. But this one to me sounds a little more Accept-styling. Yes, I just talked about a record that definitely sounded like Accept, but this one sounds more like Accept, let's say, first album, or maybe a little bit of the heavier parts off of I'm a Rebel. But this is very, very similar to really early Accept, and it might even draw some comparisons to even to about some of the really earlier sort of German hard rock bands, especially even a few krautrock bands here and there. It's got that sort of sound. I can definitely draw some comparisons to like Lucifer's Friend or really early Scorpions. But it definitely has that sort of sound. But with a little bit of that new wave or British heavy metal sound, and what you get is just this. It's got a real nice raw sound, very good sounding, especially for the CD copy. I can tell this is at least taken from the master tapes and not taken from a vinyl release, which if it was, it would have literally give a hint that it was released on record back then. If it was, it could have been in test pressing, which that's been known. That's been documented. So with that, I don't want to talk too much. It's a good album. If you want to get this, at least this would be the only way to get it. It shouldn't be that difficult. I don't think it has gone out of print quite yet, so you may have a chance to find a copy at least. So, real cool stuff though. Great. Artwork definitely almost reminds me of another band called, Storm Witch, I think. I think that was their name. I probably would be incorrect. Anyways, good stuff. So right here, I'm going to end off with the clip. It will be for the song Black Angels. So with that, hope you all enjoyed. And I hope that this follow-up, or this volume 2, was well worth the wait. So until then, I have no clue when I'll do volume 3. Since it took pretty long to do volume 2, I have no clue. But until then, I hope that's also worth the wait whenever I do. So, I hope you all enjoyed. Take care.
Rolling thunder, we are just in the night. Screaming machines, body lights. We all never fear. Under us, runs the power.